In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 NFL games happening on September 17, 2023, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 2 picks for each game, 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 NFL games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start: if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Los Angeles Chargers versus Tennessee Titans. A pair of teams that couldn't get the job done in Week 1 will try again on Sunday. The Los Angeles Chargers have flown to Nashville, where the Tennessee Titans await. These teams met last season, with the Chargers walking away with a 17-14 victory. That was in SoFi Stadium, whereas this game is in Nissan Stadium. On Sunday, we'll see if the Titans can get payback for last year's loss. Barring an unlikely tie, someone will leave with win number 1 on Sunday. Who will it be? The Chargers come off a loss in a close game with Miami, and I'm expecting them to learn from their mistakes. Los Angeles has a coaching advantage in this one and is very effective at running the ball, and that's without mentioning that Justin Herbert will always be a threat throwing the ball at quarterback. All things considered, I can't see the Titans' defense matching up well with this relentless Chargers offense. Tennessee had a horrible performance against the Saints in Week 1, even though they lost by 1 point. Quarterback Ryan Tannehill had 3 interceptions and went under 50% in passes completed. It's going to take time for Tannehill and the offense to get things going, because they can't keep relying on running back Derrick Henry to carry all the weight and keep them in games. And looking at the Chargers' defense, I like their chances of stopping Tennessee's run game. Tannehill doesn't throw a lot, and the Chargers' defense should have plenty of chances to force turnovers. Los Angeles won't be short of motivation, given that the Chiefs lost last week too, and the Chargers will know that they need to take advantage of Kansas City's slump in the competitive American Football Conference West. Normally, I don't want to overreact to Week 1, and I think the Titans couldn't look worse, and this is still a team that was 7-3 before a slew of injuries derailed their 2022 season. However, the Chargers just look like the better team to me across the board, and while Derrick Henry's a game changer, he can't do it on his own, and Ryan Tannehill's been subpar, to put it nicely. The Titans didn't look good offensively in their first game after managing only 15 points. They didn't play to their strength, which is running the ball, and finished the game with only 22 carries. Even though they will give Henry more carries in this game, they won't pick up a lot of yards on the ground against a Los Angeles team that played well against the run in their first game and will stack the box and try to force Tannehill, who threw 3 interceptions in the first game, to beat them with his arm. Even though the Chargers gave up a lot of passing yards in their first game, they managed to force 2 turnovers in that game and will make Tannehill make costly mistakes. The Chargers went off on the ground against the Dolphins and finished the game with over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. They also did a good job throwing the ball in that game. The Titans played well against the run in Week 1, but they didn't have to face Alvin Kamara, who is serving a suspension. They couldn't stop Derek Carr, who threw for over 300 yards, and they're facing a gunslinger in Herbert and his star receivers, who are healthy, so expect them to have a hard time slowing down the Chargers in this game. The Chargers fell to the Dolphins last week in a great shootout game, but I'm backing Los Angeles to get back to winning ways this week when they head to Tennessee to take on the Titans. So the Los Angeles Chargers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Chargers gave up 36 points last week to the Dolphins, but they had Tyreek Hill and Tua Tagovailoa connecting all game and scoring 2 touchdowns. The Titans' offense is much weaker than the Dolphins, and the Chargers should be able to keep them out of the end zone. First of all, the Titans don't really pass the ball well, and Tannehill had 3 interceptions last week. He doesn't have any big-time playmakers who are deep threats available to him anymore. Tennessee relies on running back Derrick Henry a lot, and that should chew up a lot of the clock if they keep moving the sticks. The Chargers scored 34 points in their first game. They averaged 19 points per game in their last 3 games against the Titans. They throw the ball well and will be able to move it against a Titans secondary that gave up over 300 yards in the first game and also gave up over 300 yards when they played last season. But their defense played well last season and picked up where they left off off by holding the Saints to 16 points in their last game, so don't expect the Chargers to score 30 points in this game. The Titans scored 15 points in their first game. They averaged 19 points per game in their last 3 games against the Chargers. They don't throw the ball well, but they have a very good ground game. The Chargers and Titans played under the total in 3 of their last 5 meetings. When these teams met last season, the final score was 17-14. Tennessee ran 12 fewer plays but ran the ball so well that they won the time of possession battle. That kept the clock moving, thus shortening the game. With Los Angeles' weak run defense, that should happen again. The Chargers had issues protecting Herbert last week, and those problems will probably extend into this game. Pressure will lead to sacks and turnovers, as it did last year, which will limit the Chargers' output. Even if everything goes right offensively, the Titans aren't a team that will light up the scoreboard. The Chargers' offense is explosive and they can score points quickly, but even that may not be enough for this total to go past the total. I'm expecting Los Angeles to keep the Titans' offense in check all game long and control the game on offense by running the ball. Even though the Chargers gave up 36 points in their last game, they played well against the run, so don't expect the Titans to score enough points to push the score past the total. Don't expect a shootout in this one. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. New York Giants versus Arizona Cardinals. The New York Giants hope for a restart in Week 2 after a disastrous season opener. The 0-1 Giants head to the desert to take on 0-1 Cardinals on Sunday. The Cardinals have owned the Giants in recent years, winning 4 straight, including a 26-7 win in their last meeting in 2020. The Giants are 4-point favorites for this game. The New York Giants and Arizona Cardinals will both be looking for their first wins of the season in this Week 2 matchup. New York is licking their wounds coming off a 40-0 humiliation at the hands of the Cowboys, while Arizona is fresh off a loss to Washington where they at least showed a fair amount of fight. I was on the Cardinals last week, and I've got to take the value with them again this week. The Giants got dominated by the Cowboys because they couldn't block their pass rush, and the Cards just had a lot of success getting after Sam Howell as they sacked the Commanders' quarterback 6 times in Week 1. Cardinals quarterback Josh Dobbs got thrown into the fire on the road last week after only having a couple of weeks to learn the playbook, and they still easily covered and nearly won outright. Dobbs should be a lot more comfortable at home with a full game in this offense now under his belt. A lot of people expected Arizona to roll over this season, but they had a lot of juice in their opener. The same can't be said for the G-men, who looked lifeless. New York's success last year always felt like a bit of a fluke, as there was never any one thing they really excelled out. They once again can't block for Daniel Jones, and they once again have an underwhelming group of pass catchers for him to throw to. So the Arizona Cardinals to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. This total is pretty low, but I don't see much offensive upside. The Giants just got shut out at home, and having Isaiah Hodgins, Paris Campbell, and Darius Slayton as their top 3 wideouts isn't cutting it. Adding Darren Waller in free agency was a nice move, but it doesn't make too much of a difference when those are your top receivers. Meanwhile, Arizona is starting a guy at quarterback who wasn't even with the team a few weeks ago. He did a pretty admirable job in Week 1, and the Cards still only put up 16 points. Their 1 touchdown was on a scoop and score fumble recovery, so the offense only actually put up 9 points last week. That was still 9 more than the Giants managed, as Daniel Jones averaged a pitiful 3.7 yards per attempt while taking 7 sacks and throwing 2 interceptions. This one could get ugly. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. San Francisco 49ers versus Los Angeles Rams. The San Francisco 49ers visit Southern California on Sunday for a National Football Conference West showdown at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California against the Los Angeles Rams. San Francisco jumped out to a 1-0 start to its season with a 30-7 victory over Pittsburgh last Sunday, while Los Angeles opened its regular season with a 30-13 victory on the road over NFC West rival the Seattle Seahawks. San Francisco will play without Robert Beal Jr., Danny Gray, Cameron Latu, Darrell Luter Jr., and Ray McLeod III. Los Angeles will play without Stetson Bennett, Cooper Kupp, Hunter Long, and Achon Mathis. It's a battle of 1-0 teams in Southern California on Sunday as Brock Purdy and the 49ers take on Matthew Stafford and the Rams. However, not many people expected Los Angeles to win their Week 1 matchup in Seattle. The Rams announced that they would be without Cooper Kupp for the first few weeks of the season as he continues to recover from his hamstring injury, so a lot of people wrote the Rams off, and it's easy to see why. Without Kupp, how could the Rams be competitive? Stafford and the Rams took that personally, and after a sloppy and slow first half, the Rams shut out the Seahawks in the second half to win by several touchdowns. It was an impressive showing, but going from Seattle's defense to San Francisco's is like day to night. Mr. Irrelevant is very, very relevant now. After an incredible rookie campaign that ended in an elbow injury, Purdy looked fabulous in his return to the offense. He had to face a Steelers defense that was hyped up all offseason, and Purdy didn't even flinch. He ended with 220 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, while Christian McCaffrey had over 150 rushing yards, so it was an entire team effort in their huge Week 1 win. The Rams show that they are not going to be a team that is a pushover this season, and they are not content for playing for draft pick positioning. But they face an uphill battle here against maybe the best team in all of football on both sides of the ball. Los Angeles defense was spectacular last week against a potent Seahawks offense, but it is doubtful that they will be able to do the same against the Niners. But the Niners will win this game with defense, as the Rams may now be without another weapon in Nakua, who lit up the Steelers last week. The San Francisco 49ers defense will be too much for the Los Angeles Rams to keep pace with a strong 49ers offense. On offense, San Francisco will use running back Christian McCaffrey both on the ground and in its aerial attack. McCaffrey rushed for 152 yards and caught 3 passes for 17 yards last week versus Pittsburgh. But look for the 49ers running back to be equally involved in the running game and also see more pass receptions. The Rams did not face a strong passing attack when defeating Seattle, but will have their hands full with San Francisco wide receiver Brandon Ayuk, who caught 8 passes for 129 yards when defeating Pittsburgh last week. San Francisco's defense, which gave up just 7 points to Pittsburgh and 239 yards, will pressure Los Angeles quarterback Matthew Stafford and will shut down the running game of the Rams. Los Angeles looked strong in its opening week victory over Seattle, but will face one of the best teams in the National Football Conference and NFL on Sunday when hosting San Francisco. I consider the Rams and the points based on what they did last week and the fact they're a well-coached team that can surprise from time to time. However, I do believe the 49ers' performance is far more sustainable than what we saw from the Rams. Also, the 49ers have covered 7 of their last 9 games when a favorite of 7 or more points. The Rams have failed to cover 7 of their last 8 games when underdogs of 7 or more points. Trends aren't everything, but sometimes they're too glaring to ignore, and the line is what it is for a reason. Big number for a road team this early in the season, but I'll grin my teeth and lay it. So the San Francisco 49ers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The 49ers' defense was nearly perfect in Week 1. Nick Bosa's unit held the Steelers to 198 yards through the air and just 41 yards on the ground while sacking Kenny Pickett 5 times. Although they lost DeMarco Ryans to a head coaching job, their defense didn't skip a beat with their new defensive coordinator. San Francisco has the luck of not having to worry about Matthew Stafford's favorite target, Cooper Kupp, since he has been ruled out for the first 4 weeks of the season. Tutu Atwell and Puka Nacua became Stafford's go-to receivers in Week 1, and while both young receivers had excellent Week 1 performances, it seems hard to believe that it will continue against San Francisco's secondary. The 49ers defense is much better at creating pressure on the quarterback and collapsing the pocket, so Stafford won't have the same amount of time as he did last Sunday. And let's not forget that the strength of the Rams is their defense, which is led by Aaron Donald and limited Seattle's offense to just 95 yards in the air and 85 yards on the ground last weekend. Anytime San Francisco steps onto the field, the likelihood of the total finishing under is much higher than not. San Francisco gave up just 7 points in its victory over Pittsburgh while scoring 30, and the total easily finished under the closing line of 41.5. Los Angeles gave up just 13 points to Seattle while scoring 30 of its own, and that total finished 1.5 points below the closing line of 44.5. The total has finished under in 5 of the last 6 games that San Francisco has played during September, which means the 49ers' defense starts strong and its offense has not yet reached its peak. Last week, the Rams were involved in a game where 43 points were put on the board while the Niners were in a game where just 37 points were scored. This game is headed for that same neighborhood. In fact, it could potentially go even lower than those totals. These are 2 really good defenses, and I don't see a depleted Rams team scoring more than 2 touchdowns. The Niners will get up into into the low 20s, but the Rams' defense looks too good to give up more than that. These National Football Conference West teams pride themselves on their defense, so I'm envisioning a game that this one ends with a 27-14 type final score, under the projected total as our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.